meeting in the Road Community Service District. It is Wednesday, the 26th of 2023 at the district. Roll call.
Director Greg Washington.
Here.
Director Alfred Wallen.
Here.
Director Rick Webb.
Here.
Vice President Ben Stewart.
Here.
President Byron Glennon.
Here.
General Manager Tim Domingo is out this evening. Director of Public Works John Houghton.
Here.
I am the Director of Administration. My name is Sherry Tim. Do we have legal counsel John Colmar with us?
I am here.
Good evening, John.
Good evening.
All right, we do have a quorum present.
Would you rise for the pledge, please? Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And may the God we just pledged guide our decision-making this evening according to His will, or override our decisions by His providence. Is there any additions or deletions to the agenda? None. May I have a motion to approve the agenda then? So moved. Motion Stewart, second. Second Washington. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Public comment. Anyone from the public that wishes to speak at this time? We're here to listen to you. On the phone or in person. Hearing none, then I will become a member of the public instead of a member of the board for just a minute. Roseman Community Service District is blessed today with a secure foundation. Thanks to the many employees, directors, and managers since it was established in August of 1966. That's a lot of workers and a lot of managers and board directors. The total number of votes to establish Rcsd in August of 66 was 241 votes. Of the 241 votes, 213 said yes, but 28 said no. But the district was established. There were 5 elected directors. They were Frank Coley. He got 197 votes. How about that? Director Webb, he got 197. He was a leading vote getter. That's the whole county. Okay, county vote there. 20. That's right. Second was Matt Wambecker. I swam in his swimming pool at the park down at the place on Rosen Boulevard that he had. He got 192 votes. Ron Gray was an electrician, 189 votes. Harold Gretzky's picture is right on the back wall there. He got 179 votes to put him in office. And then Bill Black, who worked for the school district, had 161 votes. There were 11 candidates for the 5 positions. Some of you will remember the candidates. I remember them well. Walt Hummel. Hummel Hall is named after his mother, his stepmother. Paul Dillman. Can you relate to Paul Dillman? He can relate to Paul Dillman. Joe Del Rosso at the gas station on Sierra Highway. Always let the youth do our car washing at his place. Harold Chase, I had him as a Sunday school teacher. Cecil Crane and Mac Purcell, I had him as a teacher in school shop. Mac Purcell, he became the principal of the school, superintendent. Today, as then, the customers of Rosen Community Service District are provided an opportunity to have an effective voice to the local elected directors. Sadly, just as these men I just listed are history, American culture is disappearing. Sadly, just like these men I just listed are gone, their history, our great American culture is disappearing. Policy decisions must not be held hostage to efficiency. There are ethics, social, and political considerations involved in every election, from Rcsd to President of the United States. Thank you. Public roll call. Anybody on the phone that wishes to let us hear your voice?
Yes, Roseman News is here. John Joyce reporting for print and online.
Welcome, John.
Thank you.
Any others?
This is Natalie Willis from Common Sense Consulting representing HydroStore.
I'm sorry, could you please repeat your name?
Thanks,
Natalie
ma'am.
Willis.
Natalie Wilson,
Willis, Willis.
and you're representing HydroStore?
Yes,
Thank you, Natalie.
thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to the consent agenda, CC1. Review of the check vouchers dating July 4th, 23 to July 17th, 23, and the payroll of July 23rd, and the payroll of July 5th. May I have a motion? Motion approved. Motion, Director Webb. Second. Second. Second, Director Stewart. All in favor say aye. 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 All those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Moving on to the minutes. M1, regular board meeting minutes. I have a motion. Motion by Washington. Second by... Second by Wallace. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. New business, NB1, and the resolution 2023-12, amending ordinance 92-6. And we're going to have John and Sherry tell us about it, I guess.
Thank you, Mr. President. So in response to a statewide housing shortage, the state of California has enacted several pieces of legislation to encourage the development of accessory dwelling units, commonly known as ADUs. An ADU is accessory to a primary residence and has complete independent living facilities for one or more persons. To assist local agencies with their responsibilities with relation to the ADU laws, the California Department of Housing and Community Development has prepared a handbook. The district does not currently have a policy regarding how an ADU may be connected to district services. Staff consulted the handbook to establish the proposed policy. The district intent is to fully follow state law while protecting the interests of its current customers. Ordinance 92-6 and its subsequent modifications via ordinance and resolution establishes the requirement for connection to the district. The resolution amends the ordinance so that ADUs are addressed in a manner which is consistent with state law and does not supersede any previous policy adoption in effect. However, on Friday, July 12th, staff received comments from the applicant of Tract 7362, which should be addressed through a policy edit. Staff requests that this item is postponed until the August 9th, 2023 regular board meeting to allow the policy edit.
And that was the change that we had to make because of the government making some demands on us, I guess.
Right, and working with the applicant.
Frequently, the changes that we make and the costs that we incur are due to new regulations that come from the state or the federal government. Any questions?
I do have a question. So are we tabling this or just...
We are asking for a postponement, yes.
Okay. Number one. And number two, this is regarding that gentleman that we had spoken to about putting the granny pipes in?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's planning on building houses and putting ADUs on the
Yes.
same lot.
Yeah. Okay. And do we know if he's contacted AVEC, because AVEC has fees besides what we have, because I think that, I don't want him to think that we set him up.
No, we give him all the information.
Oh, so he has everything he needs. Okay, cool. I make a motion that we take, we're tabling it, correct?
So August 9th.
So August 9th?
Correct.
I make a motion that we...
August 9th or
We're asking to table till August 9th.
to the 9th?
Yes.
Okay.
I make a motion that we table MB1, the resolution for the amendment of ordinance 92.6 until August 9th. So staff has enough time to gather the additional information will be needed.
I have a second. I second. Second, Deputy Washington. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. And this is just added to our legal wording so that we can be properly handled. All right, NB2, approve of master service agreement 20-23, number 1, Kennedy Jinks, task order, number of task orders there with Kennedy Jinks.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Master Services Agreement, or MSA, with Kennedy Jinks provides for consultant services to be performed on a task order basis. The terms of the agreement are memorialized during the contract life, streamlining the authorization process for the consultant and staff. Staff has negotiated terms with the consultant that are satisfactory to the consultant and the district. Staff recommends an MSA term of 3 years. On July 20, 2021, the district entered into work order number 2021-1 with Kennedy Jinks for the 2020 Urban Water Management Plan for an amount not to exceed $85,620. There were 3 optional tasks included in the work order to provide as-needed services, estimate water conservation needed, and 2024 Urban Water Management Plan Supplement, or UWMP, for the total amount of $23,140. Task Order 2023-1 KJ authorizes these optional tasks. Kennedy Jinks has provided plan check services for Public Works under Work Order number 2018-5, authorized on May 1st, 2018, and amended in 2021. Public Works staff desires to retain these services under Task Order 2023-2 KJ at a time and material basis not to exceed $20,000. Staff recommends approval subject to council review and authorize the general manager to execute the agreement and 2 task orders.
Again, this is an incurred cost because of Urban Water Management Plan update that we have to abide by. Are there any questions? And we're using Kennedy Jinks because we don't have the staff to be able to do that ourselves. Have a motion for NB2? I'll make the motion. Motion, Director Wallace. Second? Second. Second, Director Stewart. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. NB2 is approved. NB3, approved water reclamation project amendment change order number 8. I know every time you hear change order, it's frustrating. But how many times in our planning do we kind of do a change order and our wife gets upset or our husband gets upset or somebody gets upset? Okay, John, go ahead.
I'll be presenting also. On June 14th, 2023, the board authorized a commitment of funds to repair the non-functioning blowers at the water reclamation plant, with the understanding that funds would be reimbursed by the design consultant. Since the authorization, the consultant is recommending the approval of additional contract time amounting to 814 calendar days at no additional cost to the district. This results in a completion date of July 21, 2023. A detailed explanation of the reasons for the additional days was sent as an attachment in the board packet that you've all received. There is an additional change order that will come before the board to address standby generator coordination. At that time, additional days will be recommended. Staff recommends approval of amended change order number 8 and authorize the general manager to execute.
Any questions?
Yes. I'm getting tired of this. as you know, every time we look at these people, I know it's not you, John, it's not you, Sherry, but every time we look at these people, they can't get things done. So the question I have, if we hold their paychecks a little bit longer, they'll motivate them to get things done, because if I'm not mistaken, we've been timely in payment to everyone on this project. And everything I see now, every week, every 2 weeks, we have change orders on something. That's not fair to the community for getting a project done. And just last week, Ryan was saying that we're on the home front. This doesn't sound like a home front matter here. So thank you.
I had a question with this change order. It's at no cost to us. It's just additional hours.
Additional hours on this contract.
It said no cost to us. Any other questions? I have a motion for NB3. Motion, Director Stewart. Second. Second, Director Washington. All in favor say aye. Aye.
I'm going to vote no on this because I'm tired of these people.
All right. Let it be known that it's 4 ayes and 1 nay. Director Webb.
So noted.
Motion carried. NB4, discussion board direction related to the Rosamond Community Service Foundation. I'll say something before.
Okay.
When I saw this was on the agenda, I let Greg Wood know that we were going to talk about it tonight, but I didn't get a response back from him, and I don't see him here, so maybe he's on vacation. We can discuss it a little bit, and I know what our general manager wants some direction to do something with it. My thought would be, and you don't have to follow my thought, because it deals with a financial issue, that we send this to the finance committee to hash over between now and then maybe bring it back next meeting. But that, you don't have to do that. That's just my thought. Go ahead, Sherry.
Thank you. So some background. The Rosamond CSD Foundation, Inc. is a 501c3 nonprofit public benefit corporation with bylaws that were adopted on June 14th of 2007. The purpose of the corporation is to aid, sponsor, promote, advance, and assist in the provision of Rosamond Community Services District water and sewer, public parks, facilities, and recreation in the town of Rosamond, and to receive, invest, and utilize funds acquired through fundraisers, donations, grants, gifts, bequests, and other solicitations for said purpose. While broad in scope, the primary goal of the foundation was to facilitate the funding of parks and recreation programs when those services were authorized by district voters, but without authorizing the requisite funding. Since the district has now relinquished itself of parks and recreation services, there has been no real impetus for the foundation to continue its efforts. The foundation currently has a balance of approximately $13,000 between a general foundation account and one specifically set up for the Cancer Fund Walk. The Water Conservation Committee has met regarding the possibility of directing these funds towards water savings programs, which would fall under the scope of the bylaws. For example, there are irrigation controller upgrade programs which could be offered to the community that could be paid with the funds. However, before staff time is expended on how the foundation could serve these types of programs, the board needs to consider the options and provide direction, given the foundation is its own entity with a separate board of directors. Staff has investigated how foundation funds may be transferred under dissolution of the foundation. Funds may be transferred to another nonprofit or public benefit or to any governmental entity, including the Rosamond CSB. Staff is requesting direction so that it may assist the foundation in accordance with the board's intent.
And in your packet, starting on page 64, there's kind of a not only what she just presented, but other information related to it. So, what's your pleasure, gentlemen?
I'd like to comment on that. I think President Flynn, the comment you made about having the finance committee look at it because of the funding part, and then bring out an opinion from it. I think we discussed it, and I would also like to, out of respect, a former board member who was part of the president of the foundation, Greg Washington, to invite him here and at least get his insight on it.
You mean Greg Wood?
Who did I say? Washington. Him too. Yeah, Greg. But yeah, have him come here because I spoke about it, and I think it may have served its time, but I would like for us all to get a thought out so as we move forward, everyone understands what we're trying to do and get accomplished with it.
Mr. President, I believe we have a member of the public that would like to make a comment about this item.
We would love to hear from you.
Oh, good. So, there's a lot more residents here, and a lot of volunteering. I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. Could you please state your name for the record? Thank you, Fran.
So I'd like to see you guys think about making that a foundation for all of roads with a separate board and board to cover many things that we don't have done. So I would hopefully like you guys to consider that. I would like to sit on that board and talk about it, or at least get it started.
The finance committee is a public meeting, and you're invited whenever that is scheduled to be invited to come to that meeting and listen to two of us and hopefully Greg Wood also.
Director Burden, what's your calendar for the 31st this Monday coming up? Is it tied up?
Oh, no, this Monday's not too good for me.
Okay, get you there.
Well, I know Greg Wood has what was running the roads in the RMAC. And I don't know if they ever spend any money doing these activities for the students. Does anybody know that they've done that?
What's that?
Did they have any activities?
Foundation?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you mean the Rcsd Foundation? Or the MAC?
No, he was on the RMAC committee as a member.
Yes.
And that's how I knew of
The foundation here, well,
the foundation. But I never heard anything that money was spent on from that.
Way back when we had Parks and Recreation, I know there was money given to, I think, Little League and a couple other.
and then we have the gala, when we recognize the community both community accomplishments, so yeah.
The state park?
Yeah, well, I know there's a lot of stuff that's going on that was done at the Little League field done by the citizens.
Yeah.
I just don't remember that at all.
I have a couple questions here. I want to go back here. History.
But anyway,
Oh, I got you. I'm sorry.
okay.
Someone else.
She just involved in the discussion.
Yeah.
I just want to be involved in the clock process. Because there's so many things you can do if you're looking at that money. They almost get from clock, the board to the clock.
Well, we'll be sure and let you know of the date of the
Absolutely.
meeting.
Oh, yes, I'm very interested.
Thanks, Fran.
Hey, I have some questions here. This needs to get clarified. So the foundation was put together to aid parks and recreation and those type of activities.
Yeah.
So once the voters shot down funding for parks, this thing just kind of went dormant, or that's a pretty good sign.
Well, what happened
Yeah.
is the prior board, they went about taking all the directors off the board, directors of the foundation. That started it. And when that came up, for probably about 3 years, 4 years, there was no activity at all because the current board members at that time wanted the board directors should have anything to do with it. And that's why everything just kind of sat dormant. Then we started talking about it when the new board came back, and we brought it up, started talking about it. It just kind of stayed neutral because when Steve started transitioning, then Director Domingo came on board. So we're kind of 50-50 either direction.
So is it our intent to dissolve the foundation and figure out what to do with the 13 grand? I'm a little confused what
We're asking what you want to do with it.
That's what it comes down to.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what the finance committee will hash out.
And so keeping the foundation, what purpose would it serve?
The main purpose of the foundation initially was a company who wants to give funds cannot give funds to Crozman Service District. They can, but they're not getting tax credit for it. It has to be a foundation that they're giving to. So we established a foundation, and hopefully we would have got companies giving to that foundation. and that money could be spent on parks and recreation. Can't be spent for water and sewer and those kinds of things.
And Greg, back when we were ready to go out with solar and the wind stuff going on, these folks are constantly coming in. That was the avenue where we were hoping to use to get the donations to bring them in and then push them back out. Again, all that kind of, the solar wind slowed down, and all these other things slowed down. So for the last 5 years easily, it's been kind of sitting there, conversation comes up, COVID kicked in, they'll put it on hold again. So I think we brought it up this time, see which way we're ultimately going to go. And the other part she brought up about the foundation, perhaps it's something, I don't know how the transfer goes to the community or whatever, that's something we'll talk about with the finance. But ultimately, the entire board has to vote on it, not just the finance committee, the entire board has to vote on it.
So is there still a board, or did it dissolve? I was looking at the bylaws, and they serve 2-year terms.
So I don't know that we have any existing board members. I don't believe anybody's met. The last conversations that I can tell based upon Richard's right then was with our resolution 2020-16, which brought us back to let the board of directors at that time serve on the board of the foundation.
So like you say, kind of out of respect, you don't think maybe, I mean, they're not an existing board, but maybe they should have just a say or an opinion
We
on
definitely need to have
what we should do with the 13 grand?
of the foundation board, however that's going to look.
Yeah.
Right?
We'll have the meeting hopefully before the next regular meeting, and it can come back to the next regular meeting to maybe be discussed in more detail. And I don't know if there are plans. Greg Wood may already be working with some of the former directors for a plan. I don't know that. Oh.
Well, I just want you to know that there's quite a few people that are volunteers across the community. I've got it for the aging wall, we're going to have that here in Roseland. There's a lot of volunteers, a lot of new people that would like to see things happen here in Roseland. And a foundation that lots of all technical, very helpful, and beneficial to the whole community. So I just want you to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Okay, because I don't remember anything being done with this fire to what the Greg was running that. I don't remember anything.
There was
several things promised that didn't happen.
But I can tell you now, there were no promises made because I was on the board, and everything that came up on the board we addressed. And the reason, like again, we had directors that, when the parks, when they voted the parks off, that was part of it.
Yeah.
The foundation was still in place. And we had board members that voted that they wanted all the RCS board members off that foundation board. But then at that point, it became kind of neutral. That's why when we brought up the dollar amount of money set there, because something's done on with it. But up until that point, the events we had held, we had the community events and the money that got towards them.
We had lots of people down and had lots of good ideas. So I'd like to get the community right. Protect this and all this and that.
Again, we'll schedule a committee or a finance committee, and that's open to the public.
Correct.
Invitation. And hopefully Greg Wood would be there also, because he's probably got more skin in the game. Or what would you have?
Well, knowledge of what's going on with it. How about the 9th? Is that too late?
The 9th.
You won't be in town, will you?
The 9th is our board meeting.
Okay. All right.
So if we're trying to establish the meeting prior to that date,
7th?
Well, I'm trying to work around my work schedule, so I can't keep racing up there.
That's right. I'll be leaving the 7th.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. You have a conference.
Maybe we'll have to move it to the next board meeting in August.
okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you again.
All right. So NB4 is basically tabled. Do I have a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion. It went before to a date before August 31st. Then we will get it back on the agenda and get it addressed, so this doesn't linger.
Motion, Director Webb. Second, Director Washington. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Presentations, Water Reclamation Plant Project Update.
Yeah, so Ryan got in today, right at 5 o'clock. He had a problem out there at the wastewater treatment plant where the solar inverter started smoking and cut the power off to
Other than that, everything is
It was running fine until the smoke escaped out of the cabinet.
okay. In this type of heat, things start happening. Generators overheating, all sorts of stuff. Director's reports. Director Washington. Thank you, Mr. President. I don't have a lot today, but as the temperatures continue to rise, so does the importance for heat safety. Staying hydrated, wearing protective clothing, using sunscreen when needed are important daily practices this summer in our desert. If you're traveling during the day, it isn't a bad idea to take a bottle of water with you. That's all I have. All right, thank you, sir. Director Wallace.
I went to the RMAC meeting in Chamber of Commerce. Joe was there, and the sheriff was there. And they give some good reports. The pool is not going to open full time because they can't get licensed. And, Fred, do you remember how many accidents they said there was at the Arco? 160? That's right. How many accidents at the Arco?
Oh, there's just I got something on the car crash there on the
And they're going to try to stop them from turning left off of Glendot and going down left off of New Street. I don't know how they're going to do that. I'm trying to do that.
they're going to put it in
And then the superintendent of schools there said the enrollment's going up every day. And she said it's 1,600 students.
So remember that it's like she's looking for a place for another school.
Yeah. She wants to know if there's any land to buy.
They're still on the property across the track, don't they?
United.
United Street.
I don't think she wants it over there somewhere. Yeah. The way she tells. That's all I got.
All right.
They're having a lot of vandalism, tearing up a lot of stuff at schools. They cut the chains on the tables, threw them in the pool, threw dirt in the pool.
All at the pool?
Yeah. That's vandalism.
They sabotage them in the bathroom and everything in the plumbing. So it's just ongoing vandalism. I don't want to talk out of turn, but I want to...
No, they want to hear from you.
Okay,
Because you go to all the meetings.
so I went to the one of Bakersfield on Tuesday, and we talked about we need some police. Because we have security here around that pool to find that this is all working. It's probably going to save a lot of money when you get past and school open by now. But all these things that have happened, one right after another, has lapsed. I mean, so it's like, so, Donnie Youngblood was there, so I had written him a letter, said, listen, you can't fill any positions, you have the money, but you can't fill them. So I wrote back and said, listen, if you have the money, then put security, private security on some of our places, at least as of this burn. And that wasn't done, and we're still seeing the aftermath of all this scandal.
Well, yeah, the representative said that they have to staff the jails before they give us anyone. And she said, what was shocking, she said, they don't even have to patrol the streets. They're not required to do that. Isn't that crazy?
That's the priority. But if they have money, they can hire security people to do some of our, for instance, that pool. That's how it's prevented that, $20 an hour for the security folks. Well worth what we're doing now.
Right.
Well, they're offering $25,000 per day.
Maybe paying private companies anathema to the county.
They're not having anything.
Yeah.
See what's going on.
Yeah.
It's random.
Director Stewart.
I attended not a funeral, it was an honoring of Frank Bravado. He was a assistant scoutmaster for Troop 41, the Boy Scout troop, local here in Roseman. The troop's been around for 80 plus years.
I was in Troop 41.
So was I. And Frank Bravado was the assistant scoutmaster for the last 28 years in his early 80s and did not miss a Wednesday meeting for the last 28 years. So he passed away. He also worked at the gun store in Lancaster. And he was a veteran, Marine, and served, and they gave his honor at the Army. It was a nice
a lot of people from Roseman were there, and his family from the area as well. So, that's about it.
Let's take a moment of silence to remember him and honor him. Thank you, Lord. You may. Director Webb.
Okay, I got a couple things here. First of all, you brought up the vandalism. The only way we're going to get the vandalism stopped is and I'm speaking from a law enforcement side. The police officers are not going to solve our problem in our community. What's going to take the people in our community, such as yourself, willing to say something, because what's happened is that it seems like I get up early morning to go to work, and at 4 o'clock, you have people hanging out at the fast food gas station. Anytime you go around this community, one of my big concerns is that you have some of the more elderly folks and these young cats walk up on them. That probably scared the hell out of them, so it probably makes it easy to hand me $1. I don't know what the answer is, but I think that we can ask law enforcement all day long, but until the community takes a best interest in the wellness of this community, because, you know, I hear a lot of people say, did you see what happened? Now, I'm not advocating for people to go out and physically get involved. We got to start saying something. We have John Joyce, who's pretty good about expressing our concerns. Think we need to have John come over and write a column to inform these people, because they may not know the things you're talking about. Because a lot of us, we go from our house to our job to the grocery store, back to our house, and we don't see the dynamics. Well, some of us that are out more, that's part of it. The thing you're talking about, the traffic accidents, everyone's in a rush to get nowhere. And maybe we may get caught in the whole thing, but maybe we need to send letters to the CHP to come do an aggressive traffic enforcement, because my concern has always been these folks jaywalking on the highway, Golden Boulevard, and someone's going to hit one of them, and that person may lose their life, but that person that survived, that hits them, their life could be wrecked, because that's not fun. So I don't know what the answer is, but perhaps we can open our community room up here and bring these people in here. If enough voices start complaining about the same things, I'm not calling the sheriff out, because I understand the dynamics they have. I'm not calling anyone out, but I'm saying if we want it done, we may be the nucleus to get those things done. Then the other part about it, Director Washington brought up, I want to encourage everybody, folks, if you go on the road, you got to take water with you, because I see going to and from, even new cars are breaking down now, and I just feel bad. People are sitting up there, they may have kids or whatnot in these cars. You got to have something to shield these windshields, break down, to shield yourself, and at least have something to cool you off. Another thing, do not get out of your car on the freeways and stand on the side. You're safer in the car, seatbelt in, because what do? We see something stop and we look at it. If you look at it, we drift to lights and we drift toward green. Now you're standing on the side of the freeway trying to jump over a car. So maybe we need to invite the CHP to our meeting to give us some freeway safety, because everywhere we go is freeway related, and help us out, because I keep hearing the same thing. And it's not the people from Roseman, the older folks from Roseman, we're not the problem. It's that new crop we got in here that kind of made up their own rules. It's not the archive either. But I mean, we talk about these things, we all know about them. People probably see them, but they're so busy trying to get to and from. So maybe we need to have a community meeting, like you said, man. Get people in there and say, hey, folks, what are you seeing? What are you hearing? And come up with a workable plan to take back to our elected officials and say we need your help with it. Thank you, sir.
I attended the AVAC meeting last night. The main focus of the meeting was a discussion on the development of their high desert water bank, mainly the cost of change orders. They talked a lot. They want to know why all these change orders. Also, Aqua has two bills, AB 460 and AB 1337, that they targeted about the relationship to water rights, and they failed to come out of committee. That doesn't mean they're dead. It just means they're dead for right now. That's good. Senate Bill 389 did pass out of committee, but only with amendments that addressed Aqua's concerns. It's a bill that relates to senior water rights, and it's not senior citizens, but people who've had water rights for years, and now they're trying to take it away from them. You also may be aware of our governor has signed a trailer to the budget this year that would allow a more streamlined infrastructure process. And it clearly irritated the environmental groups, which to me is fine. Anyway, that's what's going on with AVAC and Aqua. General Counsel update. John.
Nothing for you tonight, folks.
Thank you, sir. General Manager update.
I do have an update on behalf of General Manager Domingo. Diamond Street property, we have solicited demolition quotations to 4 different contractors and have received only one actual response declining the quote. Staff has also been contacted by a local business owner who is interested in purchasing the property.
Good.
Thank you. 20th Street property. Staff met with a potential renter and are still pursuing a possible lease. Your GM will be back in the office on Monday, July 29th. And blood drive reminder, August 3rd.
Okay. Question.
So, go down. When that tree is that building is inside. It doesn't want there anymore. That whole tree is actually falling apart. Longer than that, the windows, the place where you guys actually own that building used to be our previous library. It's just a mess, actually. So if you just need to be cleaned up or something, or
Yeah,
you guys need to put something. It's all apart. We actually look at that with the road website and that plan on how to do it. And you guys actually adopted it. So that's just to let you know that it's not looking good. The 20th Street, I have sent lots of messages. One of the things that I really believe in is if you keep your town clean, it just looks better and you feel better. That place has got weeds going all over the place. It's not very, it looks like it's got spots all over it. Doesn't have the same thing about, maintaining it. So it's just an eyesore. So if no one buys that, it's our responsibility to do something like that and make it look better than what it does.
your words are, we've heard them and we've even said them ourselves. Part of the problem that we can't act, because maybe John can explain, we can't just sell something or fix it up.
Give that library back.
Yeah. You want to kind of try to explain the dilemma we're in as far as things that we want to get rid of?
Yeah, so first you have to offer them to a public entity or somebody at fair market value. They talked about trying to donate the buildings and stuff at one time, and I don't believe we were able to do that. Yeah, so there's these rules and regulations that the district has to follow in order to get rid of something. So they can lease the building out. The building on Diamond, if you heard her, we've gotten 4 quotes on actually demolishing it, getting rid of it. No.
You're saying they're looking to demolish the building.
And part of refabbing a building is if there's some kind of problem with asbestos or anything like that in there, we're really talking about a lot of money.
Oh, yeah. Big settlement. The district still gets a good deal.
Yeah.
I want to say I really appreciate that. We don't have a lot of this now. Yeah. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, they're quick to get it. And the key, you mentioned it, if you get rid of the graffiti right away, then it doesn't happen as often.
They can't do it on private property.
Yeah. Well, the private people can ask them to do it.
Can they?
Give them permission, Give them permission, yeah.
I got to thank you guys when I do call.
Thank you.
Well, commenting on graffiti, I'd like to say you do a really good job on that. I send you a lot of pictures, and you guys jump on it right away. So kudos to your staff for addressing the basic out here, graffiti abatement.
All right, Director of
administration.
Real quick before we go, I'd like to invite you to the next governmental affairs meeting that we have. If you could attend, because obviously you've gone up to Bakersfield a couple of times. Maybe you could come to that meeting and hear some concerns, and we could hear some of your concerns and help give you some support on it, because everything we're talking about is the quality of life, and we have a thing we use called broken windows.
Yeah.
If you don't fix the window, it'll break the next one and next, and that's kind of what you're talking about there. So maybe we'll have a governmental affairs and the direct administration can invite you to it, and you can kind of share some thoughts with us. We can kind of work as a team to kind of get some things together.
And that's Director Webb and Director Wallace are on that committee. And again, it's open to the public. Yeah. Administration.
I have a very short report. Bob is still busy. We're doing our next round of door hangers. We just sent out 35. So the numbers are staying down. People are thankfully paying their bills. Working with people that are still having issues, but we really haven't had any new payment arrangements. Piggybacking on the GM's reminder about the Red Cross blood drive, we have about 15 people that have signed up so far.
Sign me up.
Okay, but please make an appointment. The appointments are highly suggested. So between the hours of noon and 4 on Thursday, August 3rd, there will be a raffle held. I just found out today. The Red Cross is donating a 4-pack of tickets to Knott's Berry Farm that is valued at about $400, and it will be drawn that day from
I'll probably win it.
You know,
What do I do with it?
right? Grandkids. Also, each donor will receive a $10 movie gift card that will be handed out on that day as well. And Mr. Joyce, if you would care to do a public service announcement for the blood drive, I'm not sure if you had been given the information, but I would like to send you the flyer, and maybe if you had a public service announcement spot in the paper, that would be awesome.
Okay.
And John could even use your blood.
Yeah, and Dawn, come give us your blood.
Yeah. Okay.
Plenty of blood left. Okay. That's the end of my report.
All right, thank you. Public Works update, John Helton.
I don't have any update unless you have any questions on your packet.
Anybody have some questions for John? You got his report.
I have a question, and I asked this before on your manhole inspections. You guys are incorporating step 7 with that?
Yes,
Okay. That's important, huh?
absolutely.
All right.
Hey, John, I do have a question for you. A couple meetings back, when I guess they had tried the water turn off, there was someone who you guys had turned the water off and cut the lock, and you did something else, and every time you guys did something to try to stop them, they tried to circumvent. What was the final discipline on that?
So we ended up taking the angle stop off and putting a plug on it. So if they try to get it off now, there's no stopping the water there. There's no controlling it without the proper tool.
Well, that's extreme. That's kind of the extreme.
Yeah. So normally if we have to pull the meter, then we'll put a service block in it. It's a washer that goes in there in between the meter and the angle stop.
Yeah.
And no water can, go past that. But those people kept playing with us, so we ended up just taking the angle stop off.
Oh, okay. Did they ever come to you, Sheriff? You need peace?
Cricket.
Cricket.
So I see only 7 non-payment lock-offs.
From that report. And that's, we're reviewing it. I believe that's the total number we have.
We're doing really good in that area.
Yeah.
We've gone from, 40, or did we have that many, or?
When we initially started the process again in May, we had 207 notices that were mailed. We had 100 show up. The next go round drastically reduced, about 47 notices and 20 something.
And now we're down to 7. That's great.
It makes a difference, though, that there's a big difference in the procedure because of SB 919. 3998 stipulates that we have to wait 61 days. Prior to that, it was 30 days.
Gets drawn out so much.
It does, but, when you figure out the time and cost savings from having to send out 100 shut-offs, or to send out people to do 100 shut-offs versus 7 or 10,
Yeah.
even if they take a little bit longer to pay, they are paying. And they're getting charged a penalty because you reinsure with the penalty.
Good. You guys actually ever asked us a method
Yeah, we are not allowed to do that.
And we've talked about that as an assistance program, and
It's a public funds.
that's another thing where our hands are tied.
Well,
We've even talked about giving a better rate to low-income and seniors, and our hands are tied.
well, that's that is
Yes,
something to
Yeah.
do those kinds of things.
yeah, the foundation could, yeah. All right, any questions for the Public Works Director? All right, if there's nothing more for tonight, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion Director Stewart, second Director Washington. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. We are adjourned at 6:52.